have double-sided tape at home, then what you can do is just use some sellotape. And although sellotape is, let me just, what you can do, so normally what happens when people use sellotape to create a double-sided effect, they tend to just sort of do this. So you have like a little gap in the center here. So what you want to do is you want to keep that as flat as you can. So you want to try and get it as flat as you can, and then that will give you that double-sided effect, so the paper won't flap. So if you don't have double-sided tape, you can use sellotape. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a box. So I'm using this standard box for all my presentations, for all my videos that I do. So you should now have printed out your paper. Now you have a choice. So this is a design that I created, and I quite like the gold and the green, just something different but quite elegant. So you can print these on a standard printer. I have an Epson printer, and what I've done is just a simple A4 standard sheet of printing paper. You don't worry about the sides here. And then what you're going to do is print 2 sheets of the green and the grey, and then the 1 sheet of the green and the white. Now it's up to you if you want to. If you prefer to have most of the gift in this colour, then you do the 2 of this. So what you have to do is you need to be able to make sure that when you have your box, so if you are printing the paper from my site, then what you need to do is make sure that you have enough paper to go around. So let's say, for example, if we did this, we know now that we'd be able to cover this gift, so the size would be covered as well. If, for example, your box was bigger, then all you would need to do then is just print out more pieces of paper. So this is like in an emergency. If you don't have any paper at home, you can always quickly do this and create a gift wrap and take it away for your loved one or for somebody that you want to give the gift to. Okay, so I know for this one I only need 2 sheets of paper for this size box. So if you need a bigger one, all you would basically do is print out extra sheets of this paper to create a bigger gift wrap sheet. Now once you've done that, what I'd like you to do is just take the side. Now this was just a print error, which is fine. If I make an error, I normally carry on doing what I want to do, because this is something that could happen to anybody. So basically the paper was just on a bit of a fold there, and it didn't print. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my paper and just sort of create a nice finished edge, okay? Because I want my paper just to be nice and clean on one end. I don't want it to be showing any white lines. So what I'm going to do now is take my double-sided tape, and I'm just going to put that near the edge. And again, if you need to use sellotape, and the other thing you can do is you can just use glue if you need to, if you don't have tape. And then what you do, the best way to do this is just to hold the paper facing you, and then place the paper on top, and then just try and line up if you can. I'm not lining up any patterns. So the goal is not to line up the patterns, but to have a similar length on the edges. Okay. So now I have a big enough sheet to be able to wrap my box. So what I'm going to do now is take my box, and I'm just going to lay my paper on top. Now, we also have a contrasting paper as well, and what I want to do with this, I'm going to show you how to do a nice pleat and add that to your gift. So let's just turn that over. So we're not worried about this pleat here and this crease, because we've just taped the paper together. And I want to now measure the side, just make sure the sides are nice and level. If it's too long, all you have to do, so you want the side just to go up just towards the top end of the box, and I want the same on this side. So what I'm going to do is just trim that little extra off. And then I'm going to take my paper up and around. Okay. And you can see that's a nice finish there. Now, if you want to, we have enough paper to go over. So what I would prefer to do here now, just make that extra crease here, just to get rid of that white edge. Obviously, if you had no white edges on the sides or anything like that, I would still prefer to do a nice crease, gives a nice crisp finish to a gift wrap. Just add some tape just on the center. Again, just take your gift up. I always tend to adjust it, just make sure it's all right. Okay. And then what I would do is just tape that on top. The other thing you can do is if you want to take this paper right to the edge, you could do that as well. You just want to be wary of where that crease is falling. So I want to keep that crease just a little bit towards the center, but just a little bit off center. And I'll show you why. Okay, so that's your first part of the parcel done. Now what I want to do is I want to show you how to add a contrasting paper to a single coloured paper. So this is my green and gold print. So again, you can print whichever one you want to print, the dominant print that you would like. You just print the extra sheets out on that colour. So I'm just going to first of all just fold this in twice. Then I'm just going to take that up and back on itself, and I'm just going to leave an edge just here. Okay, so we're lifting up, we're taking it back on itself and just creating the edge just here. Okay, so now if I do that again now, I can just about maybe just get one more fold. I can, which is great. So that's your pleat. So the other thing you could do is you could actually pleat it within here, but I want to show you an easier way where you can just add your pleats in. Okay, so that would add a beautiful pleat to your gift wrap. Now, what you want to do with this now is just take some tape, and you just want to tape that together just so that it keeps it intact. Now I'm just going to follow this crease. Now what you can do is just add it just a little bit off the crease, so you can see that it gives that really nice dimension there. Okay. And then you just tuck that in. Now normally when you gift wrap, you would basically turn this over and you would just start to pleat it in, but because we're doing a top pleat, then the sides fold in a different way. So I'm just going to just take this just off. If you want to take it over, you can, it's entirely up to you, but I quite like the fact that I have a crease here. Okay. And then we're just going to take that down. Now let's just trim a little bit off, just make sure it's all nice and even, so we don't have too much bulk here. Fold in, and then we're going to twist that in. So crease from the edge and just twist that right in. Okay, then we're just going to make that fold there. Now what you can do just before you bring this fold up, so this is how it will be. So we're just folding, and what I'll do with the other one, I'll do it upwards. You can take just a small piece of tape. Now this is just while you're sort of building your confidence on creasing the paper on the sides. And then what I'm going to do here is just I'm going to take some tape I'm just going to hold it all in place, and I'm just going to lift that really nicely and tight. Okay. Another thing you can do if you feel a little bit anxious when you're first starting to wrap in this style, take a little bit of tape. You can either double side it here so that sticks right down. So let's do that. You can either double side it there. So let me show you both, just so that we know that it's just going to stay in place. Like so. And then that's not going to go anywhere. Or if you don't have double-sided tape, then you could just sort of take that on and just pleat that in. Okay, so what we're going to do here now, we're going to take the top bit up, crease, fold that in. Okay. Just going to add a little bit more tape here just to make sure that it's all held in place. So like I said, if I've missed something out, I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to show you how to do it so that you can rectify it yourselves as well. And then you just basically take your folds in from the sides, nice and crisp. It's all about the folds and keep them all nice and crisp. I'm just going to lay that down. Going to again fold that in nice and tight. Take your double-sided tape, and again, if you haven't got double-sided tape, you can use sellotape. Lift that up, and that's your gift wrap. So you can see how beautiful it looks on the sides as well, all nice and crisp. And I quite like the fact that we have a little pocket here, even though we did it because we had to join our paper. If you want to cover that join, all you would do is put that pleated wrap on there. So that's how you would do a Japanese pleat. What I'm going to do, you don't need a lot on this, but I think a nice little ribbon bow would look nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to finish this off with a beautiful little simple ribbon bow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to create a really nice, simple, elegant bow. We don't need too much on here because we already have the beautiful pleats. Now, another thing you can do with these pleats is because they're nice and flat, you can just take your fingers underneath and just sort of lift them very, very gently. You don't want to tear the paper. You're just going at a slight angle and just lifting that paper up. And again, what that does, it just gives a little bit more dimension to your gift. Now, I don't want to add too much fuss onto this present now because it's really beautiful the way it is. But I want to add just a very simple little bow, and I've chosen to go with some gold. So we have the gold ribbon that's going to just highlight the gold pattern here, and then obviously the green as well. So let's have a look. So when you're gift wrapping, the best thing to do is to sort of play around first, see what looks nice. So let's have a look if this gold one would look nice across there. So always play around. So when I design for my corporate clients, I always play around with different colours. I don't go with just the first one. I just play around and have a look at how that's going to work. I quite like the green. I think the green just stands out. So I think having a green ribbon around, just tied in a very simple way, and then maybe just a little bow with a gold bow and a little green topper bow. So let's just first of all get our ribbon, and let's just take some ribbon. Now it's up to you how you want to tie the ribbon. You could just sort of tie it here, just have the present so that it's always standing like this. I think that looks quite nice. Or you could take it across the bottom and just on the narrow edge of your parcel, like so. And I actually think that covering these pleats is going to cover them up. So I think I've changed my mind, and I think I'll just take my ribbon across the bottom here, and I'm just going to make a knot. So I'm going to try and keep both sides nice and level. Just make a nice knot. So always make 2 knots in gift wrapping, one on top of the other. And let's just adjust our ribbon slightly. Okay, so I quite like the way that looks now. You don't need to have anything and not too much fuss. If you want to now, you could just cut the ribbon and just have it very, very simple. But I think just having a nice little bow on there would look quite nice. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take some of my gold ribbon. So let's say, for example, so here's another tip. If you had a ribbon which was this length and you just thought, well, I can't do anything with it. So let me show you how to make a really nice, simple, dainty bow. Now, I'm just going to take some of my florist ribbon. I'm using this just to make a little bit of curling string to tie my bow. So you can, if you want to, you could just tie your bow straight into your gift if you want to. Another way you can do it is you just take your ribbon, so you make a little dicky bow shape. Now I'm going to have to cut some of the edge of the ribbon, so let's say this is our strip of ribbon. I'm just going to take the ribbon around. What would look nice on here as well is like a silver, like a deep grey coloured ribbon would look really nice as well. But I want to try and highlight the gold around the flowers. So what we do, we take our ribbon, like so. We just bring it on the back end in line with the front here, and then you just twist it, and then you just let that fall into place. So then now I can, if I want to, tie my bow straight in, or I can, if you, let's say for example, if you had a lot of bows to make, you could always make them like this and have them to the side. So when we do corporate gift wrapping, we tend to sometimes make all our bows beforehand, and all we have to do is tie them in because of time. So I'm just going to, with my online gift wrapping courses, I do show you how to actually make the bows, how to tie a bow in, how to, you know, tie a bow without keeping it separate as well. So let's just take that across. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to first of all cut this string out. Now you could just add some double-sided tape and you could just glue that bow on. But what I'm going to do is I want to add another really small simple bow. Now there's many different ways of making a bow, so if you wanted to, we could make another little simple bow like so, or if you wanted to, you could just add a nice little circular little bow like this and just tie that so it wouldn't have any tails. Okay, so let's make a little dainty bow. So again, I'm just going to take just a small amount of string. You don't have to use a string, you can just use the normal ribbon that you have. I'm just going to, I want to make this quite small, so I'm going to make the loop smaller than this one here. If you want to, you can just take that and just sort of measure it. Okay, and again, I'm just going to take my string. Tie that ribbon on. So when I design my papers in my design software, I like to design contrasting papers and papers that you can match with each other, and I like to ensure that there's, for example, if I had a gift and didn't have any wrapping paper at home and it was at the studio, then I know that I can quickly print out some paper and use it as my gift wrap. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to just leave that for now, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just cut at a slight angle on both sides. Okay, and I'm going to use some double-sided tape to tape my bow on. Always put the tape on the bow. I'm just going to add that on like so, and then I'm going to take my smaller bow and I want to just add that. I want it to be on top of the gold one. Okay. So what you can do is just sort of adjust the tails a little bit, just hold the top and the tails. Take some double-sided tape, place that on your bow, or glue, even hot glue. Place that on top. Now this is not wired ribbon yet, you can see that it still gives that lift as well. And then I'm just going to finish off, I want it slightly shorter than the gold ribbon. Okay, and then what I like to do for the last bit, I just like to take my scissors at an angle and just trim. And that's your gift wrap. So you can see how beautiful the pleats look here, gives you that dimension. I've complemented the wrapping paper with the bow, and even if you wanted to go even further, let's just say for example if you had white ribbon, you could just take a smaller strip of the white and you could just add that on, but you know that you can play with it as much as you like. I prefer to keep things a little bit simple. I like to design papers because I always know that I have paper there. So that is your beautiful gift wrap with a Japanese pleat and your simple bows.